So you guys are in for an absolute treat with today's episode with Ryann Dowdy, a great friend of mine. I've been on her podcast, but she is unbelievable at teaching people not only how to get their first sales, but she worked with 7 and 8 figure business owners to scale their businesses to all new levels. So you're going to love this interview. Plus, we're 4 days away from the 5-day boot camp that starts this Monday that teaches you how to grow, build, and lead your sales teams, whether it's in network marketing, general sales, real estate, insurance, financial services. So check the description of this episode so you can register, and I will see you all in 4 days. But most importantly, enjoy this amazing episode with my friend Ryann Dowdy. Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode. It's another interview, and I know you all love that. And I'm really excited about today's guest for a number of reasons. Number one, they allowed me and gave me the honor and privilege to go on their show and podcast. But this individual has a very powerful story to share. As we were talking about offline, we're both in agreement that there's too much of the show, so to speak, of how people are making it in today's entrepreneurial world. And we all know behind closed doors, it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort, vulnerability and truth, and all of those things. And that's who this individual is. And I cannot wait for her to share her story with all of you. So with that being said, Ryann Dowdy, welcome to today's episode.
Well, thank you so much, Scott, for the opportunity and for the very kind intro. I appreciate it.
Well, you are so welcome. I meant every word. So as we dive in, I kind of want to turn it to you because my audience, I've been doing these interviews for nearly 2.5 years now, and everyone has a different story, but they all paint a similar picture that it hasn't happened overnight. So tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do, but most importantly, what they love to know is what was that moment in your entrepreneurial endeavor where it was kind of like that light bulb moment where you're like, you know what? I need to go down this path and really uncover what's here that has led you to where you are right now.
Yeah, great question. So my name is Ryann Dowdy, as Scott said. So I am a sales expert. So I am the co-founder of Social Sellers Academy. And I actually have been in sales my entire career. I started selling radio advertising in Orlando, Florida at the age of 21. And just really never knew anything different in my career, never wanted to be an entrepreneur, was never really interested, rose through the ranks in the corporate world, individual contributor, manager, national sales trainer, channel sales manager, finally director of sales. And I land in this job, director of sales. I'm finally not traveling anymore. Get to build my own sales org instead of running somebody else's. And I'm so pumped about it. I've just had a baby, and I go back to work and I'm all excited. And I wake up like 4 months in and I'm like, this kind of sucks. And I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like at this point, I'm in my mid 30s and I'm like, no, like I got a ways to go. And I also knew that as I continued to climb the ladder, that it was more time, more travel, more pressure, like just all of the things. And I was just, I don't want to do that. But I had no idea, Scott, that online entrepreneurship was even an option, right? Again, I was an offline business owner or, in offline businesses. I worked with offline businesses and I saw what they were doing. I was like, I don't want to do that either. I don't want to be in a brick and mortar store. So none of that really appealed to me. And so I just kept networking and talking to people and networking and talking to people. And what I found was there were a lot of women like me exiting the corporate world in droves, but many of them with brilliant business ideas, brilliant minds, but their businesses they couldn't make them work. They couldn't sell, they couldn't find clients. And I was like, oh, that's like my superpower. Like people don't know how to do this. Like you don't know how to network and you don't know how to build relationships. You don't know how to have sales conversations and you don't know how to handle objections. And so it just kind of snowballed for a little while. It was, project here, project there. I know that you're a big believer in like the lack of overnight success. So this is 2017 where this happens, where all of this happens. The networking happens. We go all the way through 2018, Scott. And like my business is on like life support. I'm still working full time. I have a baby. I find out I'm pregnant with baby number 2. And I'm like, there's no way in the world I'm ever going to make this happen. Right. Yeah. Was I pregnant with Georgia in that year? Anyway, not the important part of the conversation. I'm like, where's my timeline here? But anyway, so I go to figure this out and I struggled a lot, even having the sales skills, even having the ability to solve big problems for people. My business, it took me a long time. I tell people I spent all of 2018 getting ready to get ready. I did everything that every guru ever told you to do in some order. I spent a boatload of money that I did not have, that I was not making, and I was still struggling. And I guess it was the beginning of 2019. So this is true. I'm pregnant with Georgia and I've got 6 months. Georgia's due in June. It's January. I joined the Unstoppable Entrepreneur Program, which is the coaching program that Scott and I connected in. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I don't have a choice. Like this baby's due in June. I'm not going back to work. Like period, end of story, not doing it. And I wish I could say like it happened overnight, but it was still just a small snowball and a small snowball and a small snowball. And I finally, Georgia is 5 weeks old. I'm wearing her in a baby carrier, like running a live launch, knowing like, this is it. Like this has to work or I'm going to have to go back to work. And I did it. I pulled off my first like really super successful 5-figure live launch, enrolled 20 clients into a coaching program designed to help female entrepreneurs sign their first clients and make money. And it just kind of went bonkers from there. So it took forever. It took like a full 2 years to like really start making consistent money. And then it all got real crazy. And then since then have started a second business and all of this. It's just been a really wild and crazy ride. And I like to tell the whole story because this is all spanning like now almost 4 years at this point. So while that is not a long time in as far as like success in business, it's a long time as far as like what most online entrepreneurs are telling you is happening. And it's just been a crazy and wild ride. And I love the work that I do and the people that I serve and the people that I get to meet. And it's a lot of fun.
Well, I love everything that you said. And what really stood out to me was honesty and transparency, and the fact that it wasn't this overnight success thing because everyone sees the story, everyone sees the glory, but they don't know the story. But the other big thing that I really took away from that was it was one of those things where you even contemplated, your back was against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Your second child was 5 weeks old. Your daughter was literally strapped to your chest. And you had that moment where you're like, if this doesn't work, then I'm going back to get a job, which I will honor you for that, because there's a lot of people that will continue to go down that path and they just dig too far of a hole for themselves to ever crawl out. So you had options. You said, you know what? I have the skill set. If I need be, I can go back and get a job at any point, at any time. And I know that, I can circle back around to this. But inevitably, you didn't want that to happen and you wanted to make this work. So there are so many entrepreneurs that, we call throwing spaghetti at the wall and nothing is sticking. You and I both know that between 2017 and now, entrepreneurship has radically changed. And again, Nancy and I joined the Unstoppable Entrepreneur at the end of 2020, going into 2021, and things radically have already changed for us. So we see the power of it. What do you think is so different in entrepreneurship in 2021 compared to how it was just 4 short years ago?
So, the thing you said when I stopped talking was like transparency. I feel like there is more transparency now than there was then. And maybe it was just what I was looking for. But everywhere I turned, Scott, it was $1 billion this and $1 million that and da 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 da, like to the point where I couldn't even fathom that amount of money. Like it was just like, what do you mean? Like I just need to make like 10, 12 grand a month and I can quit this job and like everything's fine, like whatever, like that just kind of blew my mind. And so there was a lot of, I think a lot, it just felt, I don't, and again, I'm a different person than I was 4 years ago. So I also think there's some of that, but I felt very much like there was this club and you had to have a lot of money and a lot of experience to get into that club. And it always just, I always felt like an outsider. So I think there's a little bit of change is that by wave of the number of people coming onto the scene, you had to be transparent, right? The transparency is what attracts people to you. It's what helps people connect to you. So I think there's been, people have been forced to be more and more transparent. But I also think now, not necessarily in a good way, like there's more people online, like last year, the pandemic brought a lot of people online that were not online, right? They've learned the power of it. They maybe had more time to finally start that side hustle that they didn't do before because they were working from home. Like there's a lot that happened last year that I think created more noise. We're consuming more content. We are spending more time online than we ever were before. So as marketers, as entrepreneurs, like it's harder to get your message heard too. So I think that, it's exciting because there's more transparency and people are being really real about their story and more and more people are starting to tell about like the 10 years of grueling hard work. So I think there's that. But then I do think on the flip side of it, our jobs are harder than ever before and getting people's attention because of the eyeballs online and the people online.
So what would you say, looking back at your business career to date, now owning your own company and running your own business, working in corporate and working for a company, what do you think you learn most about working for someone else that has really helped you run your own business and company now?
Oh, that's a really good question. And it's funny. This is our theme today, Scott. It's transparency. I worked for a lot of companies where, all I ever saw were the sales numbers, and, they were never high enough. And I never knew where the goals came from. And I never knew, we were just throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks and numbers wise. And then, I worked for a company that it was a cool company to work for, but the people who owned our company, they didn't really care. We were kind of like an after project. They were like, yeah, if this makes money, cool. If it doesn't, oh well. And so I learned a couple of things. One, to be as transparent with my people as I can be. And then B, to like let my team know that the work that we do matters. It matters to me. It matters to people. Because I was never motivated at that place because it was like, well, it'd be great if we sold some stuff. But it doesn't matter. Like these guys don't care, they'll fold and go home. Their other businesses will keep them afloat. The 30 of us will be out of jobs, but like they don't care. And so for me, what I took from that is to tell my team, where are the numbers coming from? Like, yes, our goals are aggressive. Here's why. And here's the difference that we make. And I find when you are transparent and honest and you do a great job of vision casting, people want to work for you. So me, it was more kind of like what I learned not to do, or ways where I was like, why was I disconnected from that brand? Like, why did I want to leave? Why was I open to leaving, and being honest with myself about those things and making sure that my company is set up so my people don't feel that way. And if they do feel that way, that there's an open door to have a conversation with me about it.
Yeah, the great thing is sometimes we learn the best way to do things by experiencing what other people should not be doing. And
Yeah.
it's just the opposite of that. So sometimes you need to go through that kind of experience to say, you know what? Don't really jive with that. And that's not how I'm going to do things when I run my own business and company.
Yeah.
Now, mindset is a topic that comes up all the time. And we've spoken about this before. What is it about money mindset
Mm-hmm.
that holds a lot of people back? Because we talk about the relationships that people have with money. You and I both, when we pictured the amount of money that people were making, we're like, that's never going to be us. I can't even imagine that. Can't even picture that a dollar amount, all those stories. And there's never been more abundance available to all of us in this world than right now. So, what is it still about money mindset that does truly hold certain people back?
Yeah, that is such an excellent question. And I think it's just, to me, I think the biggest piece is that nobody's talking about it. Like nobody's talking about money. In the corporate world, we didn't. Like we talked about the amount of money the company was making, but like it just never felt attainable, right? It was like, I'm just going to continue. And again, I was in sales, so I was well compensated, but not anything like what I am now. So I think it's just the stories that we're taught, it's the language and the things that are around us. And I mean, yes, like statistically it goes all the way back to like when we were kids, but I think it's even like how we grew up, like the companies that we work for and the way those people talk about money. And, again, I never worked for a company where they were ever like, yeah, we're doing great, right? Like every company I ever worked for, like we were this close to going under the whole time, like, which wasn't true, but that was the picture that was painted. So, I mean, literally my entire career, I was told there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, right? So it's no flipping wonder that, there's not enough money, because all the companies I ever worked for, that was the way that it went. So I think it's just an ongoing journey. And I think it's an open conversation that needs to be had. And it's so interesting how much it's shifted for me, Scott. Like I would have told you 4 years ago, like, I don't know anybody making seven figures. Like, I don't know any millionaires. And I was literally just in Vail, Colorado a few days ago with a room full of 7 and 8 figure, business owners, and a Zoom room full of people who couldn't be there in person because of their businesses that they're running. And it's just like blew my mind a little bit. Like my husband and I both were kind of like, supposedly nobody's making any money, but these people are doing fine. And meanwhile, we're at the Ritz-Carlton in Vail where someone's having a wedding. And even my husband says to me, he's like, Rye, he's like, we had an amazing wedding, but it was small. And he was like, I don't think that I would want the wedding at the Ritz-Carlton. Like, I think I would rather go on a trip. And I was like, oh, I think when you can afford the Ritz-Carlton wedding, it's not an or. It's both. Like if you can afford the wedding at the Ritz-Carlton, you can afford the trip, right? And he was like, yeah, I guess so. And like, we're still adjusting to that idea of being part of that group of people, to being part of that 1 or 2%. And it's something I had to consciously decide all of the time, the words that I use around money, the way that I talk to my kids about money, the way that we make budgeting decisions in the business, right? Like I have to be very, very mindful of those things. And it's a constant evolvement, I will say.
Yeah, the more that you improve your relationship with money, the more that your life ends up improving because you almost you detach yourself from the outcome. And I think that we learn so much from how we grow up, whether it's, money doesn't grow on trees, money is dirty. My parents, we never really talked about money, but it was always there. We weren't, like super, super wealthy, but we never struggled. And, I did, have an allowance, and so did my sister, but I had to work for it. I had chores, I had to do certain things. So, I come from an entrepreneurial background. So my dad made sure that we learned about, earning your keep. If you're going to want $20 for the weekend, you're going to have to, load and unload the dishes. You're going to have to take the garbage down and up. You're going to have to do those things that we all have to pitch in around here. Mom and dad are out working. You're going to have to do something around here. And I think once you start to really wrap your arms around that money is out there to be had, and it's just creating something for the marketplace to grab a hold of. And that's why, I really love what our coach and mentor, Kelly Roach, teaches is the process of creating not just a flagship program in the Unstoppable Entrepreneur, but really running a business the way that a business needs to be run top down, whether it's, having a boutique style business or having a large organization. Kelly's in the multiple 8 figures now and just killing it. And, I just admire everything that she's doing and everything that you've done in, even though it's been a long process, the last year and a half, almost 2 years has been like a rocket ship for you guys. And it's just amazing to see. So for the people that are listening that are kind of just stuck with where they are, no matter what business they're in, what do you think is one thing? Because again, I don't like overloading people with too many things. If someone came up to you and said, Ryan, what is one thing I can do right now to just move the needle just a little bit forward so I can start seeing some sort of result in my business?
Mm-hmm.
What's that one thing you would suggest someone to do?
Go talk to people. We spend a lot of time behind our computer screens creating and brainstorming and all the other stuff. And really, business is about people. It's about people and numbers, right? Kelly says that all of the time. Go talk to people. If you're feeling stuck, if you're not sure what to do, if you don't have any sales calls on the calendar, if you aren't sure what kind of content to create, if you aren't sure about your offer, is this the thing? if you just go talk to people, you will get inspiration, you will get ideas, you will build a network, you will find potential clients, you will find potential referral partners, potential collaboration partners, you will practice talking about your business, right? That's why I say my business iterated so many times in the beginning, because I coffeed. Like I tell people, like I cannot tell you how much money I spent in coffee in 2018. This was obviously pre-pandemic, and I would go, there was like a coffee shop catty corner from my office, and I met people there all the time. It was like my second office. And I would just talk to people and be like, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And I would hear the questions that they asked, and I would watch their face and like their body language and what did they say and what did they do. And that's how I just kept like iterating. So if I had to tie it all back to like, what was the most powerful thing that you have done so far in any of the business stuff that you've done, it's actually talk to humans. It's to get out from behind the computer and go talk to people. And again, in a pandemic world, right? It's Zoom, it's DMs, it's voice memos, it's Voxer, it's WhatsApp, it's Slack, I don't care what it is, but we can't do anything in one-way communication. If I'm just talking at people, if I'm just sitting here, trying to brainstorm ideas, I can't get anywhere. The ideas come from out there. So go talk to people. And like I said, sometimes even just the inspiration or the idea or the way someone asks a question will inspire something. So for me, that's where we always go. Even when I'm leading my team, when they're feeling stuck or frustrated, I'm like, okay, let's take it off, right? Like you said, let's let go of the outcome and let's just go talk to people today and see what we come up with. And by the end of the day, they're always feeling much better and much more inspired. And what do you know? I booked a networking call. And what do you know? I got another sales call. And but it's like, just let go of it and go talk to people.
I always tell people, and it's so funny because my audience has been hearing this for the last 2.5 years, but sometimes it takes an outside source like you to say, listen, just go network and talk to people. Everyone is waiting for the skies to open up and drop business into your lap. You have to create business. And the greatest business building tool we all have is in our back pocket. And it's our ability to create true, meaningful connection with another human being. Human connection works every single time when you actually care about the other person that you're connecting with. And it's not about getting a sale. The money comes when the impact is felt, but when the connection is made. Now, Ryann, why don't you take the time to talk a little bit about the Social Seller Academy? Because a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are also in entrepreneurship. So who is the Social Seller Academy for, and how can they find out more about you and the Academy and learn more information about it?
Yeah, great question. Thanks so much, Scott. So Social Sellers Academy is designed for businesses that are ready to hire a sales team. So the Academy is a 12-month program. We're actively training CEOs plus their sales teams. So we wanted to put a little bit of a spin on it. There's a lot geared at the entrepreneur, but when you're in a rapid growth company, you don't have the time to train a sales team. And a lot of people, that's not their jam. It's not what you love. So we literally put together a 12-month high touch live coaching 5-day-a-week academy where we teach a system called Daily Sales on Demand. And Daily Sales on Demand is exactly what it sounds like. It's how do we set up our businesses in a way, how do we set up a long-term sales strategy that allows us to close business every single day, whether we're launching, whether we're running webinars, whether we're online, whether we're offline, all those different things. So it's a lot of fun. We have a great time. And like I said, I used to say like, oh, we serve 7-figure entrepreneurs, but a lot of people are hiring salespeople earlier and earlier in their business because they realize that if they can stop being that bottleneck, the sooner and they can stay in their zone of genius, the faster their businesses will grow. So it's been really cool to see some people that are like, yeah, we're only at a couple 100,000, but I know that sales is not my jam. I'm not the best at it. Somebody can absolutely do it better than me. So I'm going to let them do that. And I'm going to stay in my zone of genius. So it's been really cool. But you can connect with us. We spend a lot of time on Instagram at Social Sellers Academy. I have been, thanks to Scott's urging, spending more time on LinkedIn. So you are welcome to connect with me there. It's Ryann with 2 N's Dowdy, and our website is Daily Sales on Demand for CEOs.com, where you can learn a little bit more about the Academy.
Wonderful. And all of that information that Ryann just mentioned will be in the show notes. So please do connect with her. She's amazing. Obviously, you can just hear the energy through her voice, and everything that she does is meant to serve and help people. And that's why we really connect. But also everything that she teaches about human connection and how that's the #1 sales driving force behind any successful business owner. So Ryann, final question before we end today's episode. What does success truly mean to you?
Success to me is about freedom in a lot of different ways, doing work I enjoy every day, being able to spend time with my family, being able to travel, being able to serve a lot of people and make an impact in the world, to do work that matters. But to me, it all boils down to freedom, to having a choice. in what I do every day, and being able to make that choice and never feeling obligated to do something or forced to do something.
I love that. And it's so funny. I've been asking that question for almost 2.5 years, and it's never tied to money. No one has ever said, oh, success is the amount of money I make. No, there's freedom that comes with the impact and the income that we make. And everyone that listens to this, everyone in the world should have the ability to design their life the way that they want. As my friend Michelle Scaff says, become your own life architect. And I just love that theory. And obviously you and your husband are doing that for your kids. You're leading the way. You're showing them exactly what it's like to live life by design. And just super, super excited for you, and also grateful for you and the connection and friendship that we've developed. And just thank you so much for coming on today and blessing this audience with all of your knowledge and everything that you had to offer. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott, for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So everyone, again, all the information of how to connect with Ryann will be in the show notes. Again, please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, everyone, for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.